probably introduce themselves for our meeting. Yeah, we can. Yeah, I could just call your name, and then maybe you could just say who you are. We'll wait for Mark. Charlie here? Jesus, I don't see Charlie. Do you? Virgil.
Okay.
All right. All right. All right. We'll go ahead and call our transportation committee of the whole meeting to order, and we'll go ahead and introduce everyone that is joining us remotely. And we have in-house, we have Commissioner Batch, Commissioner Hewsome, Commissioner Potter, Commissioner Delighted, and Administrator Kelly. We also have from Buffalo Township, Terry Weezy, and from Rockford Township, Dennis Feisey. So we're going to just go down the list, and if you'd like to introduce yourselves. Adam Flaherty.
Good afternoon. I'm Adam Flaherty with the City of Otsego. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Chad Hausman.
Yep, Chad with the Wright County Highway Department.
All right. Chad. Commissioner Burrell.
Hi, how was
Good, how are you? And Frank just is our IT guy, and he just stepped out. Lauren Green.
Hi, this is Lauren.
And you'll be taking our notes today, Lauren, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Sarah Bierman.
Hello, this is Sarah with the Highway Department.
Sarah. Steve Meyer.
Hello, this is Steve, Highway Department.
All right. Stephen Bott.
Hey everyone, Steve Bott with the City of St. Michael.
Steve. Sue Virgin.
Facilitator.
Yep. Okay. I can't quite read it. Does it say Haley Turner? Or?
Yeah, Hallie Turner, Minnesota Department of Transportation.
Hi, Hallie. Yeah, I couldn't quite read your name, so.
Yeah, no worries.
And
Thanks.
Virgil Hawkins.
Yeah, hello everybody. Virgil Hawkins, Wright County Highway Engineer. And I would like to say that I made an error in putting together the agenda that Hallie actually, her presentation will be about 25 to 30 minutes, not 10 minutes. So just so everybody knows that. Thank you.
Well, we're here. We have until 6 o'clock when our next meeting starts, so we're good. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. So, Virgil, do you want to take over with the 5-year plan, your map?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I'm going to share the map here, if I can, on the screen. And then just in general, this 5-year plan is for 2021 to 2025. And we update our 5-year plan every couple of years and add a couple of years to the existing one. Our current 5-year plan is 23. So with that, I'd like, I think Chad will go through kind of a summary of the plan.
Virgil, sorry to interrupt you, but can you make your screen larger? Can you make the map larger? Go full screen.
Is this would be nice if is there a pre-packet of this information? Just gonna be nice to look at.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
He emailed it to
Oh, did
us.
I? Oh, okay. That I should have had it. I thought because it looks familiar. I'll get it. I'll pull it from my email. If forget it, Virgil, I'll pull it up this way. It just
There you go.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're good. We're good, Virgil.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
Right, so as Virgil mentioned, we update our 5-year plan every couple of years just to make sure we're current, and then we reach out to the cities and local agencies to see if they have any other projects that may alter our plan, like if they have some utility work that's part of a preservation project and they need some flexibility on timing, we do that. An example of that would be our County Road 60 Montrose. That's been moved a couple of years, waiting for the city to secure funding for a very large scale utility project. So based on that, and we also add the last 2 years, the next 2 years to the plan. So this plan is added 2024 and 2025. And so I'm not going to go through every project, but some of the, example of some of the changes are, like the CASA 19 one-way in the area, one-way pairs. We got federal money for that. We moved that to 2022 to allow us some more time for analyzing options and acquiring some right of way. So we're gonna have some impacts to residences. Another change to 2021 is we added a safety project in Delano near the high school or to the school entrance at Tiger Drive. So we have a project we're gonna move up to this year or to 2021. So those are a couple of examples. And we also added a city-led trail project, Road 7. It includes that'll include the preservation on 7 from basically Highway 12 up to Imhoff Avenue, and that came after discussing with the city. So then the remainder is on in 2022. So I'm not going to go through every project every year, but in general, we try to cram 20 to 30 miles a year of preservation, safety project of about $1 million, and then a reconstruct, usually typically made up of federal funds or our local option sales tax. So in 2021, it'll be Fenning Avenue, which is now our County Road 118, and the second phase of 39 up at Siegel. So in Fenning Avenue is from School Boulevard to Monticello down to 36.
Excuse me for a minute, Chad. Charlie has his hand up. I don't know, we're having a little trouble with the audio, and everyone that's on, that's joining us remotely is on mute.
I was just wondering, the project down at Tiger Drive and Delano, is that going to be a roundabout that you're going to put in there then?
Yes, Charlie. It'll be very similar to what you see at County Road 18 and County Road 22 near Middle School East in St. Michael. You've been up in that area? Yeah.
That's good then, Chad. I appreciate that, because right now they made it kind of an all-way stop and it was really a lot of congestion there. So I think that's going to help a lot. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, and then I do want to draw attention to the last 2 years, 2024 and 2025. You'll see in the 5-year plan we've highlighted in yellow about $16 million worth of projects that are local option sales tax in Hanover, St. Michael, and Albertville are the 3 cities. And then those are dependent on extending the local option sales tax or replacing the lost revenue from that if it were allowed to expire. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about the plan itself.
Anyone have any questions?
I'm Chad. It's Charlie. I'm just wondering that the roundabout at Tiger, that's going to be for 2021 now?
Yes, the goal is to do it this summer.
Okay.
That's still dependent on finalizing an agreement with the, we have a memorandum of understanding with the city of Delano, but we still have to finalize an actual agreement to.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that real good on the map.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Glyden?
Chad, when are you guys gonna start having the public, we have a comment on 19 and 35. The one-way pairs in St. Michael.
That's a good question. We've actually been going back and forth with our consultant on kind of a format for the virtual open house. And I think that's supposed to start, is it next week, Virgil? Or Sarah?
Yeah, I guess I was thinking mid-December, but I'm not sure the exact date, so when that'll be live.
Yeah, that's almost next week. Soon.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the updated 5-year plan?
Everyone's pretty quiet.
I can go. This is Steve from St. Michael. Just want to compliment and thank the county board and highway department for putting together this and a lot of really good projects that are needed, especially in our area of St. Michael. And hope that we can continue to support the transportation and the local ops and sales tax going forth to keep these projects on schedule.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments before we move on? All right.
I guess we would like the committee to take action by approving or adopting the updated 5-year plan, and then knowing that it wouldn't be official until we bring the minutes of this meeting to the county board for approval.
Do we have a consensus to approve this 5-year plan, Charlie?
I was nodding my head yes. I don't know if you saw me or not.
Yeah, we can't see you. So, Charlie, everyone else? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good. We got a consensus, Virgil.
And again, it can always change too if something,
Well,
a high priority comes up or something.
right. I mean, sometimes things change with the local option sales tax.
Yeah.
Project.
Yeah, exactly. This is all subject to the year-by-year budget priorities by the county board. So even though these shows 5 years and it has dollars for each year, it's subject to approval at our annual budget meetings.
All right, thank you. So then we move on to the long-range transportation plan.
Yeah, thank you. The next item, the county adopted a long-range transportation plan in September. This was a plan that took over a year to get together with a lot of our transportation partners, cities and townships throughout the county. And once it was published in September 2019, over the course of probably the first 6 months after, we did receive some feedback with some minor revisions and tweaking that was needed. So that's what this is about at this time. This is not a major change to it. It's just some minor revisions to the plan. And we'll have Sarah kind of go through a summary of that, and I'll pull it up on the screen.
Yes, included in all your packets is a list of all the minor tweaks that were made. I won't go into great detail unless there's any questions, but some of the first paragraphs, just tweaking some of the language regarding the growth of some of the smaller cities.
Sarah, sorry to interrupt you, but we're only getting like every other word or so for some reason. If everyone can make sure that you're muted, except for Sarah.
Yeah, I can hear feedback from myself.
If your offices are close to each other, you might be, that happens in here. We can't have more than one computer in here, otherwise we get that same feedback. We'll try again.
All right, I'll keep talking, and if it's not working, I'll let Virgil take back.
It's better now. Thank you.
It's better now. Fantastic. All right, so the Parks Department did rewrite a couple of the paragraphs on regional trails just for some clarification. And then several of the updates had to do with changing or removing County Road 118 as a transfer to the city of St. Michael and adding a small segment of County Road 117 to the city of Monticello, and then just perpetuating those mileage changes through the tables. And then near the end here, we have just a correction of how the cities and township number was just not correct. And then we had to perpetuate that change through some of the percentages and tables that use those numbers. And I believe that is all. Are there any questions about the tweaks that were made?
Anyone have any questions? In this PowerPoint, I mean, these documents that we can also send out, did the townships get these ahead of time or no, or we can get those sent out too? Since we haven't had a township officers meeting, so it'd be nice to probably just send these out if we can, Virgil.
Yeah, we could certainly do that. I think the packets may have just been sent out to people that joined the meeting virtually.
Okay. Thank you. All right, anything else on the long range plan? Wait, we're way ahead of schedule, you guys. All right.
No, I'm fine with the change.
Yeah. Virgil, you have a comment?
Yeah, just like the last item, if there could be a consensus made by the committee, and then when we bring this to the board in the future, it could be approved.
So, Charlie, are you okay with it?
Yes.
Okay. The rest of us, are we okay?
Yeah.
Yep, we have consensus, Virgil.
Okay, thank you.
In the review the County Road 138 route change status and staff recommendation.
Okay, this one, it's more of an informational update. Back in April, the county board approved a resolution to make some changes, route changes, so we could remove some bank mileage on our CASA system, so we could gain needs and gas tax, optimize that for our system. And MnDOT preliminarily approved this, and part of it was changing CASA 41 to County Road 114. But after the resolution was passed, we were informed that we could not make that change because CASA 41 was a trunk highway turnback back in the 70s. So what that left us with was just applying as much bank mileage as we could. So we changed 138 to 83 from Highway 12 to 25. And the remainder part of 138 will stay as it is for now until we can get some more banked mileage. And it's important that we did make that change on 138 to 83 because part of the roundabout we're going to build here and before we'll need some state aid money involved too. So we need to have that part of 138 changed, which we've done. So this is just an informational item that the route change that was approved in April didn't happen the way we planned, but we're going to make it happen in the future as more mileage becomes available.
So Virgil, that's from Highway 55 to 25.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I think I heard it wrong the first time. And so is the reason why we couldn't do the 41 because it was formerly Highway 50, Highway 25? Is that why?
Correct. It was a trunk highway turnback back in 1974. And if it's a turnback, there's rules the state has that we can't take it off the system and bank the mileage. So we could turn it back to the city someday, which the city's open to that. And that's how we'll probably end up getting the banked mileage for that in the future.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, great. I mean, we don't have a lot of choice, so.
Is that, Virgil, is that actually in the city of Buffalo? All of it?
Not all of it right now, but it will be in the future with annexation in the coming years.
Because actually, all of Pulaski is actually in the city of Buffalo, even though not all the land is, so around it, right?
That just goes.
Yeah. All right, thank you. So now we're already up to Hallie.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hallie, you look just like Virgil.
Yeah. Here we go. I think I got it all.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner.
Madam Chair, could you make sure that everybody is muting their microphone if they're not talking? There's a Matt Leonard that should mute his, I can see.
Okay. So everyone.
Thank you, Matt.
Except for Hallie, if you'd mute your mics, please. We can't see from here who's muted and not, except Charlie right now. But all right, welcome, Hallie.
Thank you, Chair. Most appreciated. And thanks to Virgil for inviting me to present with you today. Still waiting for someone to mute. All right.
Yeah.
I'll just continue and talk slow because it's echoing in my ear. So I'm here to talk to you today about the Minnesota State, I can't even say it, the statewide transportation policy plan, which is the policy plan that puts into action the Minnesota Go vision for transportation. The Minnesota Go vision is a 50-year vision that is aimed at all modes for all users for the transportation system. We have had this vision that says that our transportation system will maximize the health of people, the environment, and the economy since 2011. And we have completed 2 planning cycles, and we're on the verge of a 3rd planning cycle under this vision. So the statewide multimodal transportation plan, it aims at answering how we are going to achieve this vision, and then the information flows to the modal systems and plans. So Virgil did note as I was prepping for this presentation that you all would be interested in hearing about transit, and you can see that the statewide multimodal transportation plan ultimately provides guidance to modes that include Greater Minnesota Transit, walking, biking, freight, aviation, sports, etc. Most of these.
Madam Chair, excuse me, Hallie. I'm wondering if you could try to turn the volume down in the boardroom, because that's where the feedback is coming from.
Turn the what down?
The volume in the boardroom, because that's where the feedback is coming from.
Is that any better?
Let me see. It's a little better. It's still reverberating in my ear.
I wonder if it's not coming from here.
So that sounds a lot better. Fantastic, thank you. So ultimately the vision flowing to the statewide multimodal transportation plan to the mode and system plans is considered a suite that we call a family of plans, and most of these are updated every 5 years. So for the statewide multimodal transportation plan, reminder, it's all modes, all users. We are ultimately setting forward overarching objectives, strategies, and performance measures for all modes. This plan was last adopted in 2017. We are due for an update in early 2022. Given the unprecedented times that we are living, we are going to kindly ask the state legislature for a 4 to 6 month extension so that we have a little bit more time to be able to connect with stakeholders like you all. Even though there is a lot of access that virtual presentations can provide, it makes it a lot harder to be able to connect in the depth and breadth of stakeholders that we normally connect with. So we are hoping to have a draft in early 2022 as opposed to a complete plan adopted at that time. We are considering also that this is a third in a trio of plans. So we are bringing the context with us a little bit from 2012, a lot from 2017 into the work that we're doing currently. The 2012 plan was the first that was completed under the Minnesota Go vision that I shared with you a couple slides back. I would say that this was pretty like run-of-the-mill long-range plan, and it was the first that really set forward some of our performance and risk-based planning. In particular, public engagement was what I would call a more traditional approach where we had open houses, et cetera. It was in 2017 that we were able to dig quite a lot deeper, as well as have a lot more breadth in who we were connecting with. For the 2017 plan, we connected with 12,450 respondents. So there might be some duplicates within that number, but ultimately we had almost 13,000 comments that provided the context to our plan. It also had a lot more context around things like land use. The nice thing about presenting to a transportation committee is I think you all appreciate more than many the relationship to land use. So we had some work that came out of the 2017 plan that was helping to set some of the context for MnDOT planning and decision making relative to the land uses that are approximate to our transportation system. We were having a lot of conversations in 2016, 2017 about health, because the word health is center to the Minnesota Go vision. We started having a lot of conversations with the public about equity, because we know that a lot of our communities and a lot of community members do not experience health equitably. And we were hearing more that we need to act in the face of climate change. So we're bringing all of this context with us into 2022 plan, and we want to go as deep as possible with as few focus areas as possible. So we're planning on selecting up to 6 focus areas in which we can really dig a lot deeper to be able to understand how can MnDOT in particular be very clear in the actions that we need to take to be able to move our transportation system forward. So I'll review with you a little bit some of what we heard for the 2017 plan. And spoiler, I'm going to ask you in a couple of slides to share in the chat if this information. So do pay attention and let me know, since you were presenting on your long-range transportation plan and your CIP, if within the context of the conversations that you've been having with the public and partners, if this information still tracks. So we asked for the 2017 plan Minnesotan priorities around about 25 to 30 trends. And when we looked across to Minnesota, we found that there were typically 5 trends that were coming to the top for respondents, including aging infrastructure, which is focused on maintaining existing assets, prioritizing the system we have, rural and urban transportation trends, recognizing that context matters. This is a direct relationship to the information that I shared about land use context, and specifically that we need to have different goals and objectives for each of the contexts by which we are planning and building. We are aware that climate change is happening and that there will be an that we need to plan and account for so that we can be more resilient. And this is especially true when it comes to transportation disruptions. We heard that environmental quality focuses on investing in a system that improves health and reduces pollution, and that we needed to understand how people were traveling now, but specifically into the future, so that we could account for changing patterns to invest in the system that we need for our grandkids and our great-grandkids. So top 5 for all respondents in Minnesota. Yet, when we started looking at information based on different demographics, we saw that there were different trends that could have been in the top 5 if we were accounting for specific groups. For example, with aging population and mobility as a service, we saw that different age groups had a focus here. When considering different races, we saw that aging population, health, racial disparities and equity ranked higher. So this information is helping us to illustrate that when we summarize information using averages, we tend to prioritize the majority. But particularly in the wake of, or in the middle of the pandemic, in the wake of the civil unrest that we've been experiencing in 2020, we are being challenged to answer, who should our transportation system serve? If you could, understanding that not everyone has access to chat, share in the chat if this information resonates with what you all are hearing in your planning processes. And I'll pause for a moment for you to digest this before I continue on. All right, so for the 2022 plan, where we feel like we need to go based on the analysis that we did on that 2017 context is that we need to ask about people's access to jobs, services, and other destinations. This is especially relevant when Virgil was prompting me to talk about transit. We're hearing that people need and want multiple transportation options, and to be able to transportation agencies account for the experiences of people using those transportation options. We also need to continue to invest in more and better public input opportunities. That's especially challenging in a pandemic, but I do think that we are seeing a little bit of a change in how we connect, being that I think we are all getting some days a little bit more astute with remote presentations, et cetera. So I think at the back end of this, we'll actually see that we have substantially more opportunities for people to engage in our processes. But we also still need to account for real and perceived barriers created by transportation. This also goes for the actual movement of people. We aim to connect people to jobs, to libraries, grocery stores, et cetera, but sometimes when we build, we create barriers for others. Also, when we consider things like shifting all of our engagement online, not everyone has the same access to internet to be able to engage in our processes. So these are things that are coming up that we need to focus on for 2022. We need to plan for safe, convenient, affordable alternatives to driving. This is another one where transit for